Sleep paralysis is when your mind is awake but your body is still asleep. It is quite a common phenomenon that troubles quite a lot of us. The common features include a feeling of being paralyzed while lying in bed. Usually auditory and visual hallucinations also occur. Some people see human-like figures and even creatures, and they will hear voices or other strange unsettling sounds. So for this video, I have gathered for you top 20 scariest sleep paralysis stories. But before we get on with the video, I'd like to let you know that from now on, under each video in the description, I will be leaving a mystery link. It could be a link to a video, a website, anything, and it can be random. What's the reason behind all of this? Well, why not? I think it will be fun and interesting. Now let's start with our stories. One night, I woke up to what I thought was the sound of footsteps in my hallway. I was laying on my back, which immediately made me confused and a bit nervous because I never sleep on my back. I tried to turn my head to see where the sound was coming from, but I couldn't move at all. The panic set in and I heard the source of the footsteps coming to my room. Now, although I could not see the figure, I knew it was Home Invader. I could feel him standing on the opposite side of my bed, silently staring down on me. He had some sort of weapon in his right hand. I believe it was a knife. I swear my heart has never dropped and raced like that in my entire life. I kept trying and trying move or scream, but I was frozen in place. It felt like hours. I heard footsteps coming from the stairs of the attic, which ends up right beside my bed. I couldn't see anyone coming up though. Suddenly, I realized I saw something in the corner of my peripheral vision, and I could hear it breathing. When I slowly rolled my eyes to the side, I saw the small head of a white-faced troll grinning and staring at me. I panicked and suddenly all the phones in the house started ringing. This ringing sound built and built louder and louder. It scared me and I knew for sure that I had a permanent tinnitus. After this short moment, which felt like a really long time, I had enough strength to locate and lift my arm. This immediately stopped all the hallucinations and I woke up without tinnitus. My mind woke up and my entire body, including my face, was under the covers and unable to move. I couldn't see a thing. I worried for a brief moment when I discovered I couldn't move at all. Then things got scarier. I felt an enormous amount of pressure on my chest. I had the feeling as though the spirit, or whatever it was, had its face only inches away from my own. If this wasn't enough, I heard inaudible whispers in both ears and pounding on the wall adjacent to the bed. I began to cry because that's all I could physically do in my mind. I was screaming as loud as I could, but nothing came out. I began to struggle, but I finally burst awake, sat up immediately, still crying. The room was silent. To me, the paralysis always happened in cycles. I always sleep on my side or on my stomach. The recurring experience for me is feeling something evil floating over my bed, slowly coming down towards me. Even though I never see it directly, I somehow always feel it has this very wide grin on its face. It may sound very scary coming to think of it, but the fact that it's always the same damn Babadook-ish grinning dark mass makes me feel super creeped out. Back when I was hooked on Final Fantasy Xi, I was playing way too much while neglecting my sleep. One evening, I went to bed stressed. I then spent a while tossing and turning in bed. Upon turning to my right, I was face to face with the dead body of an old man. He had some kind of scaled reptilian skin. After around 5 seconds, which felt much longer, he started to vanish. Then I could feel some kind of omnipresence outside. It was super early in the morning, so it was turning light. However, the sky and natural light began to dim rapidly as this presence was making its way to my room. I could feel it growing and growing as the window went pitch black. The pure evil darkness began to seep into my room. So I jumped up and got the hell out of there, splashed cold water all over my face to stop all of this onslaught. I feel I'm awake, but I feel groggy and so incredibly tired it's hard to move. Then I realize that actually I cannot move. Simultaneously, I am also acutely aware that I am in imminent physical danger. I can see a shadow in the room at the foot of my bed. It is a man with a very large knife. I know I must move to save my life, but I cannot move. I hold my breath as I cannot move. I, instead, try intensely to be as still as possible. I will my heart to slow down for fear he can even hear that inside my chest. He wouldn't try to stab me if I'm already dead, right? I stay this way, hardly breathing and drifting between awake and asleep and again. Eventually, the male shadow is gone and I finally feel I can let go and drift back safely into sleep. When I do wake up, I'm almost always on my side, not on my back at all. I was lying in bed at night when I realized my body was rigidly locked in place. It was uncomfortable. I tried moving around, but then my body started rising off the bed, just a few inches. A terrifying sensation that woke me up, such a relief. It was just a weird dream. Suddenly though, I was rigid again and there was an eerie green glow outside my window, and then I woke up. That was disturbing. I'd somehow been dreaming again with no recollection of having fallen back asleep. Suddenly, I was even more rigidly locked up than before, floating so far off the bed I was almost at the ceiling, and the eerie green glow was brighter than before. I panicked and woke up. This time I was actually awake, sleep paralysis within sleep paralysis within sleep paralysis, dreaming of being exactly where I was, in my own bed at night, within the same dream within the same dream. A few reoccurring characters are a banshee in my room screaming at me in some sort of demonic multi-voice, a little girl that walks up to me and rests my sleep paralysis and puts me into nightmares. I'm usually up for the rest of the night if I get a visit from either of those two, but I get them quite frequently while stressed, and they tend to stress me out for the next night, so compounds itself. Skeletons walking past my door, dead people staring at me from my window. I don't know why most of mine are centered around dead, rotting things, but they are. I'm a 34-year-old man and I don't know why little ghost girls scare me. I was sleeping in my bed and I woke up paralyzed. I looked at the wall of the hallway where we have a painting. It was slightly oblique, also it was a different painting. Then I see my brother's arm that puts the painting in its natural position. At the beginning, it felt like a dream. Then I said to myself, what the heck is my brother doing in here in the middle of the night? And I realized that I was yet again in a sleep paralysis. And then, things got worse. The painting changes, revealing the face of the witch from The Wizard of Oz. I had a dream with her that night. She isn't really that scary looking, but holy shit, it was terrifying at that moment. She laughed and she jumped out of the painting and came into my bed. I just closed my eyes in complete terror and felt something like 6 arms grabbing my whole body. It stayed like this for 5 seconds before I managed to free me from that goddamn nightmare. I am awake and unable to move. My body's tingling all over and I am seriously panicking. I can't move and I remember just trying to jump out of my body. Just sit up, I told myself. As if I'm suddenly released, I bolt upright and turn on the bed lamp. I see the demon from the dream standing on the side of the bed. Naturally, I panic and scream. Wake up my boyfriend who is freaked out. Took me about 2 hours to fall back asleep. It happened when I was about 12 years old and I was obsessed with Justin Bieber, so much that I had a poster of him next to my bed. At the time, I fell asleep sleeping sideways on my bed so that I was facing my mirror and I could see the poster next to me. I woke up not being able to move, and instead of seeing my Justin Bieber poster, I saw a mangled, decaying man sitting on the edge of my bed, staring at me. I was so scared and all I could do was close my eyes and hope that it went away. I took the poster down after that night. I was happily sleeping on my back when I woke up, except that I didn't. At this point, I hadn't realized yet that it was a sleep paralysis episode, so I opened my eyes, and then I couldn't move, and then it clicked. Damn, I'm not supposed to open my eyes. And immediately after that, female shadow figure with long hair appeared at the end of my bed. She didn't even have glowy eyes or anything, just a pitch black silhouette, like Mr. Game and Watch, but in 3D. Surprised but not scared because I mentioned I already knew that this could happen, and in reality I was safe in my bed in the real world. What a cute demon. And after a few seconds of staying there, she, without emitting a sound, jumped on me, her shins over my knees, and grabbed my wrists and held them at the sides of my bed to prevent me from moving. Bitch, I'm already paralyzed. What are you doing? And she just French kissed me. I felt everything. What the hell? And I woke up. Out of pure confusion. I couldn't even let her finish. I was so surprised that I just woke up. I definitely wasn't expecting that. In a not so recent episode, I woke up in the middle of the night, unable to move, and saw a tall, slender figure enter my room. So far, it was an occurrence I am familiar with, as I have sleep paralysis on a semi-monthly basis, but this time I watched as the figure crawled into big spoon position with me in my bed, got uncomfortably close to my ear, and whispered, "Go back to sleep." And then I jolted awake, no sign of anyone in my room. I was sleeping on my stomach, which I never do. I felt the paralysis start to begin. Then I kept feeling being held down and hard pressure near my ass, kinda like thrusting motion. Kept trying to push it away but kept feeling more and more pressure. Then I woke up after my mind told me to wake up. After that, I just stayed awake and tried not to think about it. I remember waking up for no reason whatsoever. No loud noise, no touching on my body that makes me wake up, just complete silence. I sat up just thinking to myself that maybe I was thirsty or I had to pee, but something just felt very odd, a feeling I never had before. I can't even explain the feeling, but certain people know the exact feeling I'm talking about. If I had to put it into words, all I would say is pure dread. I felt as if the time simply didn't exist. I almost felt like the entire world just stopped. It then felt like my clock was frozen in time. I remember sitting up in a daze. As I sat up, I turned my head to the left of me, looking out of my bedroom doorway. very odd since it was the middle of summer and even at night it can still be very warm even in California. The jacket had a hood that was over his head. The odd thing is that I could not see his face at all. Even with the dim blue light lighting him up, his face was just black. No facial features or anything. Just a complete dark void where his face was supposed to be. As I sat there staring at him, I was just frozen, not making a sound. I was washed over with this confusing feeling mixed with fear. I just remember us looking at each other for what seemed like minutes, but most likely only 30 seconds. As I was looking at him, I just felt terrified. I remember all of a sudden just knocking out. I was staring at him and then just slowly laid back down. Then nothing, just knocked out instantly. Complete darkness. It's not usually scary for me. Usually I hear a really loud buzzing sound and my head feels like it's vibrating. I had a weird sleep paralysis dream where I got infected with the zombie virus and had to get killed to save humanity. So I had to lay down in a chamber and they turned on a machine that blasted radiation waves up my body. I couldn't move and felt this strange but somewhat nice static feeling, and the whole time I was thinking, this doesn't feel very painful for being radiated and burned alive. I heard some kind of whisper very close to my ear. It was really past face and gibberish. When I opened my eyes to know what the heck was that, I saw an old woman hovering face to face about 1 inch away from my face. She had a pale old face, black lip, and 2 very, very deep black eyes. I'm not even sure if she had eyes. In fact, I think these were eye sockets. After what felt like eternity of panic, I woke up. I didn't sleep again that night. One day I woke up in the middle of the night and I immediately realized that I couldn't move. I could not talk either and quickly realized that I was experiencing sleep paralysis. That's when I saw a person standing in the corner of my room. I got really excited. Not scared, just happy to finally experience it. At some point, I woke up and thought about how cool it was, so I tried doing it again. I was really tired and I don't really remember what I did, but I managed to get sleep paralysis another time. Only this time, I kept slipping into a normal dream, if there is such a thing, and back into sleep paralysis. I dreamt about a crazy naked murderer breaking into our house. And when I was back in sleep paralysis, I think I saw the murderer from my dream in the corner of my eye. Still, I was happy to experience it all. I woke up again and tried getting into sleep paralysis again, managed to do it, and this time I did actually get scared. I remembered something I had read a few years ago about sleep paralysis, saying that a lot of people see the Hat Man standing in their room. I don't know why, but the thought of this really frightened me and I woke up right back from the paralysis. Once I was awake again, I got really mad at myself for not just staying in paralysis, but I thought that I would just go back one more time. I was sleeping next to my mom in a hotel room at the time, and I kept waking up between them and trying to wake her up to wake me up because I could barely move. I kept drifting in and out of the dream state where I didn't know what to do at all. The first experience was when I floated to the ceiling of the room and saw my mom get ripped into pieces, screaming in agony as blood came pouring around the room. The second experience was when I saw 2 people standing over me and cooing me, but they had no eyes and I couldn't move, and didn't know who they were. I was laying down in my bed when I heard some noises, but just assumed it was my cat running around. I didn't really pay that much attention to it. I also noticed that my window blind was a little open, but just thought that I forgot to close it. As I am trying to get up to close the blind, I notice that my body is very heavy. I try again, but I do not move at all. At the same time, the noise outside my room started becoming louder and closer, and it sounds like loads of people whispering, but very loud. I start getting really confused and kind of scared, thinking that I could be getting robbed. I tried to reach my phone to light up the room, but I got reminded that I can't move. At this time, I start to get honestly very scared. A few seconds later, I hear the door latch and it slowly begins to open, revealing a shadowy figure. I try asking who was there, but my mouth does not respond. I start to freak out and can hear my heart beating insanely fast. I want to scream, but I can't. The shadow slowly moves across the room, getting near my bed. The whispers coming from the creature get louder and clearer. I can almost distinguish what some of the voices are saying. The shadow bends over the bed, and between all the whispers, I clearly hear my father's voice. "Want some peanuts?" I get obnoxiously confused, and suddenly I notice my room is completely dark. The door is shut and there's complete silence. I'm still scared as hell, but somewhat relieved, and I notice that I can move again. But I decide not to, as that thing could still be around. Let me know which story is the scariest for you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and also don't forget about the mystery link in the description down below. I will see you in my next video.